Suzanne, you'll save it up for you to give us your perspective from the UN's point of view in joint funds.
Well, I guess as a pension fund, we have a fiduciary duty to give the proper return. It's our sole interest in life. So we invest globally, and fortunately, my predecessors had the wisdom to invest in the early emerging markets funds and have profited, steadily over the years. In the last 5 years, since I've been with the fund, again, the African part of our portfolio has been among the fastest growing side. You look at the numbers and you know there was a financial crisis, but maybe it didn't happen in Africa. The developed markets really were the ones that suffered the most. And here, when we look at some of the discussions today about, not enough companies trading, not enough liquidity, why are there not listing these family-owned companies? I think they see what has happened in some of the European exchanges, and a family may not want to rush into an IPO, but perhaps that is going to happen now that the returns on the stocks are starting to look very tantalizing. And they're generational issues. As the family patriarch looks at his family growing, the best way sometimes to distribute it is with an IPO. It's a great family exit plan too. So long as the legal, accounting, and governance structures are ready, I think that Africa's on the eve of more listings, and that will be the exit plan for more of these private equity companies that are in the pipeline now. The other issue that I think has been a barrier to private equity and investment is the age-old issue of infrastructure. It is so hard to get from one coast to the other and around compared to if you're traveling in the US or Europe. This will change, but infrastructure investment is incredibly expensive. And as a pension fund manager, I look at the horrible risks that my kindred spirits and other pension funds have borne in the developed world. There's a big alignment of interest problem everywhere. If a country doesn't want to invest in its own electric transmission or subway system, how is the foreign investor ever going to be paid for doing that? I live in New York City. They planned the Second Avenue subway in 1929. It's not done yet. You have tremendous risk whenever you build something from the green field, and there's a lot of that to be done in Africa. So I'm hoping that with some cooperation among the governments and possibly some additional work from World Bank and IFC support, that the world can come up with a better mechanism to fund infrastructure. Because again, this is not just a problem in Africa. My neighbors in Canada lost a whole lot of money in European infrastructure over the last couple of years. Because guess what? They bought energy transmission pipelines and systems in Norway. And the taxpayers didn't want to raise the rates when the costs went up. So suddenly the cash flow was not as it was forecast. So again, Norway is a wonderful, safe, developed country. If you don't make money in energy transmission in Norway, where in the world are you safe? So the baggage of the developed world comes with us when we look at infrastructure investments in Africa. And I think the world leadership has a lot of work to do to find out a way that a foreign investor can be protected enough to take the business risk involved in these activities. Because that's the one missing link to many economic prospects throughout Africa. Until you have reliable power, these wonderful electronic payment systems like M-Pesa, ingenious, brilliant, and it works, it doesn't work if you can't charge your phone. So let's work on the infrastructure. Let's get our advisors in the World Bank to come up with some guidance. We want something that works in Norway as well as in Africa. Because, in fact, I'd like to see the Second Avenue subway finished in New York, too. So let's work on that, and I think we'll solve problems for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very good. Thank you.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.